The Miami Dolphins just made a move that sent shockwaves through the NFL, trading away superstar cornerback Jalen Ramsey to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And now, the big question is, who steps up next? Today, we're diving into the updated list of potential cornerbacks Miami could bring in through free agency or trade to fill that massive hole in the secondary. Because let's be real, this cornerback room needs help. Yes, the Dolphins got Minkah Fitzpatrick back in the deal, a reunion that instantly boosts the safety group, no doubt. But when it comes to cornerbacks, it's looking thin. Sure, Kader Kohou is locked in as one of the best nickel corners in the league, no complaints there. But if the plan is to push Kohou outside and rotate safeties like Fitzpatrick, Ifeatu Melifonwu, Marcus May, or Eli Apple in the nickel, that raises some big questions. Right now, the projected boundary corners are Cam Smith and Storm Duck. And I'll be honest with you, that's not a pairing you can trust heading into the season. Maybe one of them breaks out in camp, but at this moment, Miami needs a proven starter, and fast. That's why today, I'm giving you 5 cornerback targets the Dolphins could go after right now, and I'll rank them by how likely they are to land in Miami, a mix of free agents and trade targets, all real possibilities as we edge closer to training camp. All right, let's get into the first name on the Dolphins' radar, and this one keeps coming up for a reason. Rasul Douglas, a veteran corner who spent last season with the Buffalo Bills, is the most likely target for Miami right now. Now, is he my top personal choice? Honestly, no. But based on the buzz around the team, the front office clearly sees something in him. Miami actually hosted Rasul for a visit around the NFL draft and even offered him a deal. But he turned it down. Why? He felt the money wasn't right. Simple as that. Still, according to multiple reports, including Barry Jackson, the Dolphins never closed that door. They've kept in touch, they've stayed patient, and now the door might be cracking back open. Let's talk fit, because that matters. Douglas didn't have a good 2024. There's no sugarcoating that. His coverage numbers were rough, and quarterbacks were lighting him up at times. But if you dig deeper into the film, a big part of that struggle came from Buffalo's heavy man coverage scheme, a sharp change from what he was used to. Now flip that over to Miami. The Dolphins run far more zone-based concepts, and that's exactly where Rasul has looked most comfortable in the past, especially during his standout run with Green Bay before the Bills trade. If he lands in the 305, he wouldn't be asked to chase speedsters one-on-one every snap. He'd be used in a way that plays to his strengths. Here's the bottom line. Douglas is experienced, physical, and still has something to offer. The Dolphins need a reliable boundary corner, and if Rasul realizes his market isn't as rich as he hoped, he could circle back and land in Miami, with a real shot to start opposite Kohou. This is definitely one to watch. Coming in at number 2 on the Dolphins' cornerback radar, Asante Samuel Jr. This is a name that keeps heating up, and for good reason. Samuel Jr. is only 25 years old, a former second-round pick with serious upside. When healthy, he's already shown he can hang with top receivers, especially during his standout 2023 season with the Chargers. He's got quick feet, sharp instincts, and the versatility to play both man and zone, something Miami's defensive staff values highly. Now, why hasn't he been scooped up yet? Simple. Injuries. In 2024, Samuel battled through a shoulder issue and had surgery on his neck back in April. That's the key holdup. But here's the good news. He's expected to be medically cleared soon, and once that happens, he'll be the most in-demand free agent corner left on the market. And yes, the Dolphins have checked in. There's been confirmed contact between Miami and Samuel's camp. They're monitoring his recovery closely, and if he gets the green light from team doctors, don't be surprised if the Dolphins make a move. This wouldn't just be a depth piece. This would be a long-term play, a high-upside starter who could pair beautifully opposite Kader Kohou for years to come. Make no mistake, this would be a bold move, but a smart one, and exactly the kind of bet Miami might need to take if they want to upgrade without overpaying in a trade. As long as Samuel gets cleared, the Dolphins could be one phone call away from locking him in. Let's talk about trade option number 1 and the third overall target on Miami's radar, Jaylen Watson from the Kansas City Chiefs. This is where things get interesting. Unlike the previous two names, Watson would require a trade, but the cost? Likely a day 3 pick, maybe a 4th or 5th rounder. And for a team like the Dolphins, who are searching for affordable upside at corner, that's a price worth exploring. Why Watson? He's 6 feet 2 inches, long, physical, and has already played meaningful snaps in big games. Before a shoulder injury cut his 2024 season short, Watson was having a quietly solid campaign, allowing just 1 touchdown across 500 snaps with a sub 60% completion rate when targeted and a quarterback rating under 93. That's efficiency you can build around, especially in a secondary that needs a physical boundary presence. There's also a strategic reason this could happen. Kansas City's GM, Brett Veach, has a clear track record. He doesn't re-sign most of the corners he drafts. The exception will likely be All-Pro Trent McDuffie, but that only strengthens the idea that Watson could be the odd man out. The Chiefs trust their ability to draft and develop, and that could make Watson available without a massive bidding war. Now picture this. You add Watson to a secondary that already includes Kader Kohou, Cam Smith, Storm Duck, Minka Fitzpatrick, Ifeatu Melifonwu, and Ashton Davis. That's a deep, flexible group. It gives defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver the tools to mix coverages and matchups without scrambling for answers if one guy goes down. Watson isn't just a backup plan. He's a legit starter with upside who could thrive in Miami's scheme. If Chris Grier wants to make a smart, low-risk move with real starting potential, this might be the one. At number 4 on the list, James Bradberry. And I'll be honest, this one's tricky. Not because Bradberry isn't experienced, not because he hasn't had success in the league, but because this version of Bradberry comes with real questions, and the Dolphins would need to tread carefully. Let's lay it out. Bradberry didn't play last season. At all. That's a full year away from game speed, full contact, and the grind of an NFL schedule. For a veteran cornerback in his 30s, that's not nothing. You could spin it as a year of rest, fresh legs, fresh mindset, but you could also say it's a sign his best football is behind him. Now, here's where it gets relevant to Miami. There's been quiet interest from the Dolphins before. Bradberry's a proven name, a former All-Pro, and he's played in multiple schemes, including with the Eagles and Lions. He knows what it means to be in a complex defense, and he's got the size and instincts to still contribute in spurts. But let's not sugarcoat it. This wouldn't be a long-term fix. If Miami adds Bradberry, it should be his depth, not the full answer at boundary corner. He's not the high upside addition that Asante Samuel Jr. could be. He's not the scheme fit that Rasul Douglas might offer. And he's definitely not the cheap developmental swing that Jaylen Watson could represent. Would Bradberry bring leadership and experience? Absolutely. But if this move happens, it should come alongside another, more dynamic signing, not in place of it. Bottom line, Bradberry sits at number 4 for a reason. He's on the radar, but he's not the priority. Not if Miami wants to stay competitive in a stacked AFC. And finally, target number 5, and it's a big one. Cleveland Browns cornerback Greg Newsome II. This would be a trade, not a signing. But if the Dolphins pull it off, it could be a massive win for both the short and long-term future of the secondary. Let's talk about what Newsome brings. He's a former first-round pick out of Northwestern, now entering the final year of his rookie deal, the 5th-year option. He came from the same draft class as Jalen Waddle and Jalen Phillips, and, like them, he's proven he belongs in this league. His body of work speaks for itself. Over 3,000 NFL snaps, just 10 touchdowns allowed, a career completion percentage of 63%, a QB rating of 94.5 when targeted. Those are strong, consistent numbers, especially for someone who's played in a defense loaded with other top-tier talent and expectations. Now, here's why this matters for Miami. Unlike a short-term rental, Greg Newsome gives you a real path to stability. If the Dolphins trade for him and he thrives in 2025, they'll be in a perfect position to lock him up long term and potentially lock in their CB1 of the future. Yes, Jaylen Watson might be more likely due to cost, but Newsome offers a much higher ceiling. You're not just filling a hole, you're building out a blueprint for the next 5 years. And considering he could be available for a day 3 pick, the value is there.